welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm your host, Dr. Mike. Dr. Crystal is not with me today, but today I brought in a special guest, which I'll get to in a sec. But we're going to be talking about bread, right? A cornerstone of human civilization. Now, I know some people may be avoiding breads and stuff. That's fine. That's great. That's your dietary choice. But a lot of people still like bread, and they're looking for those healthier options. And there's just so many out there. So I brought on an expert to help me talk about that today, and it's Holli Ryan. She's a registered dietitian, blog writer, and you're kind of the RD we bring on when we have food.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice that? Right. We always do food with Holli. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be back. So yeah, people want to enjoy bread. It's often on the chopping block when we are wanting to lose weight or, maintain our blood sugar levels. But when we do want to enjoy some bread, there are some better options.
Yeah, for sure. So on today's show, we're going to talk about what those better options are. As Holli is teaching us about these options, I'll be trying a little bit. I'm going to nibble just a little, right? And I'll give you what I think about it as we go through it.
Okay, sounds good.
There's a couple of them in here that I'm very interested in trying. Okay. All right. So before we do that, you were talking before we started this about the grain itself, and I thought that was a great conversation. Tell us about that again.
Yeah, so when it comes to a whole grain anatomy, if you will, so you have the inner germ, you have the endosperm, and then you have that outer layer, which is the bran. When you have kind of your refined white bread, your Wonder Bread,
my childhood bread.
Yeah, that's, a lot of people familiarize with that bread, but unfortunately, it's going to be primarily the endosperm, and the germ and the bran are removed.
Right.
Now, the endosperm, mostly carbohydrates, some nutrients in there, but the fiber, which is really important when it comes to bread, the fiber is going to be in that outer bran. And unfortunately, that's removed with the white breads.
Yeah. Dr. Crystal, she's a clinical nutritionist, as you know, and she said something I thought was pretty cool, that if, the white bread, it's like, what's the point? Because we're eating bread to get the benefit of the grain, and if all that benefit's gone,
yeah,
kind of like, why are you doing it? Why are you eating that bread?
Yeah, it's empty carbs, right?
Yeah.
So you want to get your most, I say this a lot, the bang for your nutritional buck, right? Yeah. So when we eat foods, we want to make sure we're getting the most nutrition out of it. And,
that's right. I like that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let's start. So we have all these different breads here. We're going to start with this first one. Tell us about this first one and why you think this is healthy and important.
Yeah, so we have multigrain bread here. Not only is it a multigrain, it's also a sprouted bread, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But in terms of why this would be a better option, it's going to be whole grain. So whole grain, like we were describing, you get all three parts of that grain. Some things you want to look for on a label is an indication from the Whole Grains Council.
Mm-hmm. And we have that label. I think they can show that right now.
Yeah, we have a visual for you. But it's going to be that kind of yellow icon. It's going to give you, this one says 50% whole grain, and it gives you the amount of grains in grams per serving. So that's a good icon to look out for. And like I was saying with the fiber, it's going to help you avoid occasional constipation, support healthy blood sugar levels, and also healthy cholesterol levels. Yeah,
compared to the white Wonder Bread that I ate every day in the 1970s, that spiked sugar and stuff like that. And so this is a better option.
Yeah, especially if you don't combine it with protein and fat. A balanced meal. When you do have bread, you'll have a sandwich. You'll put things on it. So when you have a more balanced meal, so I wouldn't sit down and just go to town on some bread. Just make sure you're eating it as part of a nutritious meal, right?
Of course, yeah. All right. So that's the whole grains. Look for that label. Now we're going to move into one of my favorites. Is rye bread. So tell us about this. So and here's what's interesting. We have two different rye breads. You can't see it. We kind of have the more classic one you're going to find in your store, and then we have real rye bread. So tell us about rye.
Yeah. So in the United States, we're used to seeing kind of this. You can see some of this dark marbling going on here, that darker bread. But often in the U.S., it's not true rye. It's mixed with white flour or wheat flour or other grains, which this one is. This is a good option among the U.S. rye because it's whole grain wheat and rye, and there's some other grains in there as well. But just keep in mind, it's not going to be primarily rye like you'll see in kind of the Nordic culture or in Europe. So this other bread here, this one is from Germany.
This is pure rye.
Yeah, pure rye.
This is a mix.
Yep.
Look at the difference.
First ingredient, whole kernel rye. So it has that whole grain. Let me try this because I'm curious.
It's good. It has that. Well, the reason I like rye, I like the taste of rye. Mm-hmm. It's different. It goes great with certain sandwiches and stuff. Yeah, it's good.
It's definitely denser. Mm-hmm. But hey, toast it up.
I liked it. Not bad. Some butter. We had some butter, but we didn't put any butter on it. All right. Now we're gonna go. Now here's what's interesting about the next two breads. Right. You group them together for a specific reason. Tell us about that.
Yep, so we have a sourdough here, and we also have a sprouted Ezekiel bread. The fermentation process from making sourdough and the sprouting to make these other breads, they offer some nutritional benefits. Reduced gluten content and reduced phytates.
Right.
Phytates bind minerals. So bread and grains, they are naturally a source of minerals like iron. But we can't always utilize it. We can't always absorb those because of the phytic acid present in these grains. So if we have these processes that break down those phytates, we could get those minerals and benefit from them.
There's like the whole, they call phytates and some other words anti-nutrients or something like that.
Anti-nutrients,
kind of this new word. At the end of the day, they keep you from receiving the full benefit of the bread.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other discussion, but basically, if you have a varied, balanced diet, you don't have to worry about them too much. Right, but hey, like I said, you want to get the most out of these foods. So,
well, some people say phytates maybe also can cause some stomach issues in people.
Yes, that's true.
So fermentation, sprouted is the better way to go then for people like that.
Yeah, and so going to focusing on the sourdough for a moment.
Now, can I show them this?
Yeah, show.
Because this is a little different looking sourdough.
Yeah.
Normally sourdough is white flour, right? But it's still fermented, which there's benefit. But this one's a little darker. Tell us why you picked this one.
Yeah, so I chose this one because it is made from a whole grain flour. And we were mentioning how you get the added benefits from the nutrients found in whole grains. Now, so this is probably among the sourdoughs, maybe even a better option because you do have the whole grain. But you could still enjoy a true sourdough made from a traditional method with kind of the white flour because the fermentation offers a whole host of benefits in itself aside from the whole grain component. Mm-hmm. So, most breads are made using a commercial starter. Sourdough is made with a wild yeast and a beneficial lactic acid bacteria. Now, this process breaks down the proteins like gluten, the FODMAPs like fructan, which improves tolerance to wheat. So, some people, unfortunately, they don't tolerate wheat very well, whether they have celiac disease, IBS, or just a wheat sensitivity. Yeah. So
there are bakeries, especially some that specialize in sourdough, where they've had their mother for years.
Yeah.
And they just take a little bit out to use it for the next batch, right? Yeah.
That's what you want to do is go to like a local baker like that or your farmer's market to find these true sourdoughs.
I find this one, this is a little mixed. It doesn't have as strong of a sourdough taste. So just so people know that. To me, I mean, you can still taste it is sourdough, but you can also taste some of that wheat.
Okay.
That's mixed in with it as well. But no, great option, right? I love sourdough with olive oil. It's my favorite way. Yeah, and it's over there. Would you like some? There it is. All right, so then let's go to sprouted bread. And tell us about why? Because this is kind of the unique bread out of all of this, right? And it's based just on how it's made.
Yes. So, first of all, Ezekiel itself, it's a unique blend. So it's beans, lentils, millet, spelt. So it has this kind of unique blend of grains, but in terms of the sprouting, so germination, when a bread is sprouted, the germination actually improves the nutritional profile of the grain. So that's what sprouting is. They use the germinated, grain before it's being milled into flour, or in this case, flourless. So there's different types.
They can look that up. You can see videos where they they speed it up.
Yeah.
And you can see that, you can actually see it sprouting. That's what it is.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you can see that happen. So, it actually improves the glycemic index, reduces gluten content, and better digestibility.
Yeah. Let me try some. I've had Ezekiel, but now here's my thing about these sprouted breads. I do find them better toasted.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
They can be a little dry, in this one.
100%. Like, I actually like the one.
That's dry.
Some people are sensitive to sesame, but they make a variety that I like that has the sesame on the outside, toasted up.
Good. It's good.
Yeah. I think with these breads, toasting goes a long way.
Right. So we've gone through a bunch of different breads here. All of these are going to be better choices than I'm having a hard time with the Ezekiel bread. All of these are better choices than that traditional white bread that I grew up with.
Yeah.
This is the point. You're getting nutrition out of these grains, and that's the key thing. Holly, as the expert RD here, just kind of give us a summary and other little tips you wanted to include for our audience so they can take home with them.
Yeah, so, the takeaway here is you want to choose the whole grain varieties. There's different grains that offer different fiber contents. Look for that stamp from the Whole Grain Council. Look at the ingredient list. Make sure whole grain or the word whole is, either part of the first or second ingredient in that list. Choose breads without high fructose corn syrup. A lot of these are packaged. They're going to have some preservatives. So maybe go to your farmer's market or local bakery or try baking it yourself at home to avoid some of those things. And this brand here, this Dave's, they make a thin sliced, or if you buy a whole loaf like this, you could ask the baker to thin slice it for you. It's for a lower calorie option.
That's good. Yeah.
Choose organic varieties, and if you are gluten free, there are some grain free breads out there, gluten free breads out there. I talk a little bit more about those on the Life Extension blog. Cloud bread, flax bread. So there are other nutritious options as well.
Holly, thank you so much. Very informative as always. The blog she's mentioning, you can check out at lifeextension.com/bread. Yes. Nice and simple, right?
Yep.
Thanks again. Appreciate it. Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time. Like, share, and comment. We love to hear from you. And hit that interested button. So the next time we go live, it'll tell you we're about to go live. That's every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time. I'm Dr. Mike. Thanks for watching.